You ever notice how life has a way of dropping news that shakes you right down to your core? Not the kind of news you see coming, not the kind that fits neatly into your plans or expectations. No, this is the kind that hits like a storm, sudden, relentless, unavoidable. And somehow, it's meant for you. Funny how the universe, or maybe something much bigger, is not subtle. It doesn't send invitations, it sends jolts. And the people who feel it first, the ones who can sense the tremor before it lands, that's you. Signals arrive in life in ways that are subtle, almost imperceptible. But if you're paying attention, you notice them. Most people walk around thinking that only the loud, obvious, dramatic moments matter. They wait for alarms, headlines, or crises to appear before they act. But the chosen, the ones who are about to face challenges that would crumble ordinary people, they feel the tremor first. They sense the currents that run beneath the surface, the subtle disturbances in energy, the tiny nudges that life sends when it wants to be noticed. It's not something you see with your eyes. It's something you feel with your gut, your heart, your mind all at once. It's instinct, intuition, awareness, combined in a way that prepares you for what's about to land with impact. Most people dismiss these signals. They call them coincidence, imagination, overthinking, anxiety. They're uncomfortable with the idea that life communicates in whispers instead of shouts. But the universe, or maybe God, is patient with the prepared and relentless with the unprepared. It doesn't announce itself to those who are distracted by trivialities, who are busy chasing routine and comfort. It reaches only the ones who have been paying attention, the ones who notice patterns others dismiss, the ones who feel the tremor of impending change in a way that cannot be explained logically. That is the first sign of urgency, the moment when you feel, without knowing why, that everything is about to shift. You notice the subtle shifts in the world around you, the way conversations carry extra weight, the way people act differently without realizing it, the strange coincidences that feel too aligned to be random. Most people ignore these things because they demand no immediate action. They think life will clarify itself later. But the chosen understand that waiting without attention is dangerous. Those subtle pulses are the signals that prepare you for the arrival of something significant, something unavoidable, something that will hit hard and demand response. Life doesn't send urgent messages to those who are complacent, who are passive, who wait for clarity. It sends them to those who are alive enough to notice, sensitive enough to feel, and brave enough to act. There's a tension in your chest when the signals arrive. It isn't panic, it isn't fear, it isn't random. It is awareness. It is life tapping on your shoulder, saying, pay attention, notice, prepare. It manifests as a feeling that something is imminent, something that will challenge, disrupt, and rearrange your world. Most people try to ignore this feeling because it is uncomfortable. They want normal. They want predictable. They want easy. But life doesn't work that way. The more you resist, the more unavoidable the impact becomes. The chosen do not resist. They notice. They trust the tremor in their perception. They watch. They listen. They prepare, even when others laugh or doubt or remain oblivious. The signals also test perception. You may see patterns that don't make sense at first. Small events, subtle hints, fleeting interactions, they seem random. But they are not random. They are precise, targeted, arranged in a way that leads to understanding once the full impact arrives. This is why most people miss them. They are not paying attention. They are distracted by what they think matters. They dismiss the tiny tremors, the quiet warnings, the unusual coincidences, thinking that life will deliver clarity in its own time. But clarity does not come to those who ignore the first pulse. Clarity comes to those who sense it early and align themselves with it, preparing mentally, emotionally, and strategically for what is about to strike. The chosen, however, see it all differently. They understand that these signals are not optional. They are essential. Ignoring them invites chaos, confusion, and being unprepared for the arrival of urgency. But noticing them provides an edge. It provides awareness. It allows for readiness. Even if readiness is uncomfortable, it sharpens instinct, heightens perception, and primes the mind for response. Life does not owe clarity. Life delivers signs, tremors, signals, and those who feel them first have the chance to act, adapt, survive, and even thrive when the moment of impact finally arrives. These signals are constant, though subtle, and the intensity grows as the moment approaches. You may feel a growing pressure, a restless awareness, a tightening in your chest that cannot be ignored. That pressure is not fear. It is preparation. It is the universe, God, fate, whatever you choose to call it, alerting you that something urgent is headed your way. Most people would panic. Most people would freeze. Most people would dismiss it as coincidence or imagination. But the chosen recognize the pulse for what it is, a call to attention, a summons to readiness, a prelude to transformation, a signal that the world, or something beyond it, has selected this moment for you, and it will not wait for you to be comfortable. Urgency has a way of making itself known whether people are ready or not. Most go through life expecting signals to arrive softly, like a knock on the door, a gentle tap on the shoulder, something easy to acknowledge and easy to ignore. But real urgency doesn't ask permission. It doesn't wait for preparation. It arrives suddenly, forcefully, unmistakably, with the kind of intensity that rattles your mind, spins your perception, and demands that you pay attention immediately. Most people panic when they feel this intensity. They freeze, they rationalize, they search for explanations. But the chosen, the ones who are meant to face what others cannot feel, the urgency as a pulse, a vibration, a tension that courses through every part of their being. They recognize it not as chaos, not as danger, but as opportunity disguised as pressure, as a message disguised as disruption, as a call disguised as shock. The world is full of distractions designed to dull perception, noise, routine, obligations, trivial worries. All of these act like layers of static between you and the signal that matters. Most people never notice the urgency because they are tuned into everything else but the important. They live distracted lives, comfortable in predictability, blind to the undercurrent that is moving faster than they are. But you, the chosen, notice the tremor. You feel the ripple of an unseen force that most ignore. It doesn't make sense to others. It doesn't announce itself with clarity. It is subtle, indirect, almost imperceptible until it becomes impossible to ignore. And those who feel it first, those who understand it before the chaos lands, are the ones who have the advantage. They are the ones who can prepare, who can respond, who can act with clarity while others flounder. Urgency demands focus. It tests attention, perception, and the ability to process what is coming without succumbing to fear. Most people interpret pressure as punishment, as a problem, as a sign that things are going wrong. The chosen interpret it differently. They see urgency as a signal of importance. They understand that life or something beyond life is delivering a message that cannot wait. It is a jolt, a push, a wake-up call. It shakes the foundation of complacency, forces the mind to sharpen, forces instincts to rise to the surface, forces the heart to notice the rhythm of change that is always present but often ignored. The urgency is precise. It is deliberate. It is unavoidable. And the chosen understand that ignoring it, dismissing it, or trying to delay it only leads to missed opportunity, chaos, and being unprepared when the impact finally hits. You can feel the tension building even now. It is a quiet pressure in the air, a restless vibration in your chest, a sense that everything around you is poised on the edge of change. Most would call it stress or anxiety. Most would seek distraction to avoid it. But the chosen recognize it as a signal, a subtle prelude to something larger than themselves, something that will demand everything they have and everything they are capable of becoming. This tension, this discomfort, this vibration is preparation. It primes the mind for clarity, the body for action, and the spirit for endurance. The chosen do not fear it. They embrace it. They let it heighten awareness, sharpen perception, and align them with the arrival of what is urgent. Timing is woven into urgency. The signs appear in increments, gradually increasing in intensity until they can no longer be ignored. They are rarely obvious at first. A conversation here, a coincidence there, a feeling that won't dissipate. Most people dismiss these early signs because they seem inconsequential, because life appears to be ordinary and predictable. But the chosen notice. They sense the rhythm. They understand that these small nudges are part of a carefully orchestrated sequence leading to a critical moment. Ignoring these signals or waiting for perfect clarity is a luxury that the unprepared cannot afford. The urgency will not pause. It will not slow down. It will hit hard, unannounced, and in ways that change everything in an instant. The urgency is also transformative. It is not just a message. It is a catalyst. It forces recognition, forces awareness, forces alignment with the unseen currents that have been preparing you for this very moment. Those who are oblivious to it will struggle. Those who resist it will falter. But those who feel it, acknowledge it, and act with the clarity it demands are the ones who can turn it into opportunity, who can transform disruption into advantage, who can meet the shock with readiness and precision. The pressure, the tension, the intensity, they are not random. They are deliberate, designed to awaken, provoke, and position you for the impact that only you are meant to face. Those who are chosen notice the signals first. They feel the tremor in ways others cannot. They sense the urgency before it becomes chaos. They recognize the importance of the message before it hits with full force. And that recognition, keen, instinctive, unavoidable, is what separates those who rise from those who crumble, those who respond from those who remain paralyzed, those who are prepared from those who are blindsided. The urgency is a gift, a warning, and a summons, all at once, delivered with the precision of something much greater than chance, and it will not wait for anyone who is not paying attention. Impact. It doesn't arrive politely. Most people go through life expecting soft landings, comfortable news, manageable surprises, the kind that fits neatly into their expectations. But real impact doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait for readiness. It doesn't care about your plans or comfort zones. It hits hard, sudden, unavoidable, and often without warning. Most people panic, freeze, or rationalize. They search for reasons. They question fairness. They cling to what they think is normal. But the chosen, the ones who sense the currents before the chaos arrives, they feel the weight of impending impact in ways that ordinary people cannot comprehend. They notice the tremor before it becomes a quake, the whisper before it becomes a roar, the pattern before the chaos makes itself obvious. That sensitivity is not weakness. It is preparation, a gift, a sign that something monumental is coming. The world is full of people who think that impact can be predicted or controlled. They live with schedules, routines, assumptions, and expectations, thinking that their careful plans will protect them. But the truth is, impact doesn't conform to plans. It doesn't wait for certainty. It doesn't pause for comfort. And when it comes for you, it comes precisely, deliberately, and in ways that demand more than you thought you had. That's why most people are caught off guard. That's why most people crumble. But the chosen, the ones who are attuned to the tremors, the signals, the early pulses, they are already moving, already adapting, already ready to respond when the blow arrives. You can feel it coming even before it lands. That tightness in your chest, the restless energy that won't let you sit still, the sudden awareness that life is about to shift, those are not coincidences. They are signals. They are markers. They are the subtle ways that the universe, or something beyond the universe, communicates urgency and magnitude. Most people dismiss these feelings because they are inconvenient. They want explanations, guarantees, reassurance. But impact never waits for readiness. It arrives unannounced, sudden, powerful, reshaping everything in its path, and noticing it, feeling it, sensing it in advance. That is what separates the prepared from the unprepared. Impact is transformative. It is not just an event. It is a catalyst. It forces clarity, forces awareness, forces action. When it lands, everything changes, whether you are ready or not. And the chosen understand that the preparation is not about avoiding impact. It's about aligning with it, interpreting it, and using it to propel themselves forward. The tension you feel, the signals you notice, the subtle shifts in energy, they are all part of the preparation. They are the rehearsal before the storm, the whispers before the shout, the warning before the blow. Most people ignore them, thinking the world is ordinary, predictable, and fair. But the chosen know that the world is neither ordinary nor predictable. It is precise, deliberate, and exacting in the timing of its impact. There is a strange kind of beauty in impact. Most see it only as destruction, as chaos, as disruption. But those who notice it before it lands understand that every shift, every collision, every shock has purpose. It reveals weakness, exposes truth, sharpens perception, heightens awareness, and forces action. Most people shrink in the face of it. Most people panic. Most people resist. But the chosen embrace it, because they have felt the tremor before it became a quake. They have sensed the pattern before it became a storm. They understand that the full force is not a punishment, it is a prelude to transformation, a challenge to rise above ordinary perception, and a test of readiness, strength, and clarity. Impact does not announce itself in obvious ways. It comes through signals that are often easy to ignore: a conversation, a coincidence, an uneasy feeling, a sudden shift in the environment, a ripple in relationships. Most people overlook these signs, dismissing them as trivial or irrelevant. But the chosen see them for what they are: prelude, alignment, preparation. Every small tremor is a thread leading to the moment of collision. Every ripple is part of the pattern. And noticing these threads, understanding their meaning, and positioning oneself accordingly, that is what separates survival from failure, clarity from confusion, and opportunity from catastrophe. The chosen feel the pulse of impact in advance. They notice the rhythm, the vibration, the subtle energy shifts that presage chaos. They understand that when the blow arrives, it will demand response, not reaction. It will demand focus, adaptability, courage, and clarity. The signals that others ignore are their preparation, their rehearsal, their guide. And when the moment finally hits, when the news arrives, when the world shifts, those who were attentive, aware, and ready will not be swept away. They will rise, because they have sensed the weight of impact before it landed and aligned themselves with it, ready to meet it with precision, awareness, and power. The moment you hear something that shakes you to your core, most people react the same way. They freeze, they question, they panic, they look for reassurance, as if the world would wait for them to catch up. But the chosen, the ones who can sense urgency, who feel the tremors before they erupt, experience it differently. They notice the subtle changes first, the whispers in the air, the strange coincidences that seem too aligned to be random, the energy shifting in ways that ordinary eyes miss. And even before the news hits, before the chaos lands, there is a pulse, a vibration, a sense that something unavoidable is approaching. It is neither fear nor imagination. It is preparation, a quiet alert that primes the mind and heart to confront what others would crumble under. Most people try to ignore these feelings. They rationalize. They distract themselves. They convince themselves that it's nothing, that life isn't capable of such precision, that they are not the target of what is coming. But the universe, or maybe something far beyond the universe, has a way of ensuring that the right person receives the message at exactly the right moment. It does not matter whether you are ready, comfortable, or calm. It only matters that you are attentive. The tremors you feel, the subtle signals brushing against your awareness, are not accidents. They are the markers of urgency, the indicators that what is about to land will demand more than ordinary perception, more than ordinary resilience, more than ordinary courage. There is a strange clarity in anticipation. While most people panic when confronted with shocking news, the chosen notice patterns in the chaos before it manifests fully. They feel the weight of the moment in advance, sensing the shifts in energy, behavior, and circumstance that precede it. This anticipation does not remove the impact. It sharpens it. It allows for preparation, adaptation, and focus. Those who ignore the signals, who brush aside the unease, who refuse to trust their instincts, will be overwhelmed. Those who notice, however, even without full comprehension, gain a subtle advantage, because they are not meeting the shock blindly. They are meeting it with perception, readiness, and awareness that others lack. Urgency arrives in strange forms. A conversation that seems trivial, a fleeting encounter, a coincidence too aligned to ignore, a feeling that refuses to leave your chest. These are the markers of impending change. Most people overlook them because they do not recognize the language of warning. They expect clarity, signs in bold, explicit instructions. But life, chaos, the divine, whatever force is orchestrating events, operates in subtlety. It nudges, it hints, it pressures, it tests patience. The chosen learn to read these cues, to trust the tremors in their intuition, to perceive what others cannot. That perception becomes the foundation for responding effectively when the full weight of the message finally arrives. The intensity of urgency is not random. It builds gradually, accelerating as the critical moment approaches. At first, the pulse is subtle, almost ignorable, but it grows, weaving through circumstances, decisions, and people in ways that become impossible to overlook. The chosen sense, the rhythm, the cadence, the invisible alignment that signals that the time is near. Ordinary people will panic at the sudden arrival of chaos, but the chosen have already adjusted. They have observed, felt, and aligned themselves with the unfolding currents. They do not merely react, they anticipate. They do not merely survive, they position themselves to turn impact into opportunity, chaos into leverage, disruption into clarity. Notice the sensation that won't fade, the tightening in your chest, the restless energy that compels attention. This is the signal of urgency, the quiet warning before the storm hits. It is not meant to terrify, it is meant to alert, to prepare, to awaken a part of you that is capable of rising above the shock. Most people will resist it, deny it, distract themselves from it. But the chosen listen. They acknowledge the tremors. They feel them in every nerve. They understand that these are not accidental. The news that hits hard, the chaos that arrives unexpectedly, the pressure that overwhelms ordinary minds, all of it is precise, deliberate, and intended for you. And feeling it first, sensing it before the impact, is what allows you to respond with clarity, awareness, and power. Urgency is not merely a test of resilience. It is a signal of purpose. The weight of what is coming is heavy because it is transformative. It demands presence, attention, adaptability, and courage. Those who ignore it will falter. Those who embrace it, who recognize it, who align themselves with it, will navigate the impact with precision. The tremors, the subtle pulses, the shifting energy, the fleeting coincidences, they are not random. They are part of a pattern, a message, a preparation for the moment when everything changes. And only those who have felt the urgency in advance will rise to meet it with clarity, strength, and understanding. Opportunity and danger often arrive wrapped in the same envelope, and most people don't recognize it until it slams into their lives. They live expecting clarity, predictability, and safety, thinking that life will announce what matters with neon lights and marching orders. But real signals rarely arrive that way. They whisper, they tremble, they hint, and only those who are attuned to the vibrations notice. The chosen, the ones meant to confront what others flee from, feel these signals in ways that cannot be explained. They notice the tension in conversations, the sudden shifts in circumstances, the patterns that others dismiss as coincidence. It is not imagination. It is instinct. It is life, or something beyond life, telling you that something significant, urgent, and unavoidable is approaching, and it is targeted directly at you. Most people ignore these signals. They are distracted, complacent, caught in routines, chasing comfort. They rationalize, delay, and hope it will pass. But the signs are not for the passive. They are for the attentive, the alert, the ones whose perception has been sharpened by subtle awareness. Those who notice the tremors before the storm arrive gain an advantage. They see what others miss. They understand the currents under the surface, the invisible threads that connect events, and the warnings embedded in everyday interactions. The urgency is always there, but only the chosen recognize it as such. And recognition is everything, because the moment it fully lands, it will demand clarity, decisiveness, and courage. There is an intensity in these signals that grows over time. At first, it may appear minor, a strange coincidence, an uneasy feeling, a fleeting encounter. Most people dismiss it. Most people ignore it, thinking it is trivial or unrelated. But for the chosen, these early signs are crucial. They are the whisper before the roar, the tremor before the quake, the subtle warning that prepares the mind and heart for what is about to land. Ignoring these signals or dismissing them is a luxury that ordinary people can afford. Those who are meant to rise cannot afford to be blind. They must observe, interpret, and prepare, even without full comprehension of what is coming. The arrival of urgent news or life-changing information is never convenient. It doesn't wait for clarity, comfort, or readiness. It crashes in with force, reshaping reality in an instant. Most people panic, they freeze, they cling to the familiar, the ordinary, the predictable. But the chosen understand that panic is wasted energy. The news is not the enemy. It is a catalyst, a spark, a call to action. The tremors felt before it arrive are preparation. The tension in the chest, the restless energy, the sudden awareness that something is shifting, all of it is the system of the universe aligning circumstances, testing patience, and sharpening instincts. Those who embrace it, rather than resist it, gain the advantage of clarity, precision, and readiness when the moment finally arrives. Timing is woven into urgency. The signs do not appear all at once. They are gradual, incremental, subtle at first, gaining intensity as the critical moment approaches. A conversation here, a coincidence there, a feeling that won't leave your awareness. These are the threads of preparation. The chosen learn to notice these threads and to trust their intuition when logic fails. They sense patterns in chaos, see connections in confusion, and recognize that what appears to be randomness is actually deliberate orchestration. Waiting for perfect clarity is a trap. Acting blindly is a mistake. Reading the tremors, trusting the signals, and preparing accordingly is the path of the chosen. Impact arrives for everyone eventually, but only those who have sensed it in advance can navigate it with control. Most people are overwhelmed by sudden shifts, blindsided by the weight of news, unable to adapt quickly. The chosen are different. They have noticed the tremors, followed the signals, and aligned themselves with the unfolding currents. They have felt the urgency in advance, allowing instinct to sharpen, perception to heighten, and readiness to solidify. And when the full force of change lands, it is not shock that drives them, it is clarity, focus, and the awareness that they were prepared for this moment all along. The signs, the tremors, the subtle nudges, these are not random. They are deliberate, precise, and unavoidable. They demand attention, courage, and adaptability. Those who ignore them will falter. Those who embrace them, who notice and respond to them, will rise. Urgency is a gift disguised as disruption, a challenge disguised as chaos, a signal disguised as discomfort. Those who feel it first, who read it before it becomes obvious, who trust it without needing guarantees, are the ones who will act with clarity, harness the momentum, and meet the moment with strength, precision, and power. Pressure has a way of announcing itself long before the world even knows it exists. Most people walk around blind to the subtle vibrations of urgency, waiting for life to crash into them with unmistakable force, hoping that clarity will arrive in a neat, convenient package. But the chosen, the ones who feel the currents beneath ordinary reality, recognize the first tremors of pressure as unmistakable signals. They notice the restless energy, the tension in conversations, the small disturbances in routine, the uncanny coincidences that seem to defy chance. These are not accidents, they are markers, whispers from life or something far beyond life, alerting you that something unavoidable, urgent, and transformative is on its way. And it does not ask if you are ready, because readiness is not the point. Awareness is. Most people ignore the early signals. They dismiss them as overthinking, imagination, or misfortune. They are distracted by comfort, routine, and trivial concerns, believing that life will unfold in predictable increments. But urgency is patient only with the observant. It does not announce itself to the distracted or the indifferent. It taps gently at first, a tremor beneath the surface that most fail to perceive, before it escalates to undeniable force. The chosen feel it first because they are attuned, alert, and willing to sense what others overlook. They understand that the first tremor is an invitation to observe, prepare, and align themselves with the currents that are shaping their destiny. Even when the details remain hidden and clarity has not yet arrived, there is a strange kind of tension that precedes transformative events. It manifests in subtle ways, a tightening in the chest, a restless energy in the limbs, a sense of anticipation that refuses to fade. Most people mistake it for fear or anxiety, and they seek to escape it. But the chosen understand it differently. They recognize it as a signal, a pulse from the universe, a prelude to the urgency that is about to arrive. It primes perception, sharpens instinct, and forces focus. It is preparation disguised as discomfort, a test designed to separate those who will rise from those who will falter. The pressure is not random. It is deliberate. It is precise, and it is unavoidable. Timing plays a critical role in urgency. The tremors arrive gradually, almost imperceptibly, gaining intensity as the pivotal moment approaches. A fleeting conversation, an odd coincidence, an uncomfortable realization, these are the breadcrumbs leading to the impact that will demand full attention. Most people miss them. They wait for perfect clarity, obvious signs, or explicit instructions. And when the moment arrives, they are caught off guard. The chosen, however, read the rhythm, feel the energy, and notice the alignment of events before the storm hits. They